Okay, this is weird. Damn Autopilot. So today, Tui and I, if you see Tui here messing up the... Oop, something's going on. I gotta move the wheel, I think. Am I still on Autopilot? I don't know. Today I'm driving the new Model 3. This is the... Shush! Okay, today I'm driving the new Model 3. This is the car that everyone's waiting to get. The electric, affordable car from Tesla. And it's, I'm sorry to say, pretty goddamn cool. Let me put my foot down here. Oh, man. Yes, sorry petrol heads, but we're all going to be driving one of these things in 10 years' time.
Put your right turn signal on, it'll make a lane change.
Oh, good God. Yes, it did. Houston, we have a problem. Huh? So, this is my first time driving a Model 3, so excuse me if I screw this up, but yeah, this is currently the top of the line Model 3, the performance model, and you really have to drive an electric car to understand the experience. The lack of engine noise and the linear thrust are what hit you the most. Put your foot down, and it's just very strange experience. Of course, it doesn't behave like a combustion engine car in that it's doing regenerative braking when you take your foot off the accelerator, so it tends to feel like it's engine braking a lot more, but you get used to it pretty quickly. And it's so damn smooth and quiet. Oh, it's annoyingly good. I know no one wants to hear this, but I really love driving this car. And I'm sure you've all seen other videos about the Model 3 and how it's just a lack of buttons and everything's on the screen. But that doesn't tell the whole story, you know. There's two sides to this. First of all, oh, be quiet, silly thing. Let me turn you off. If you remember back 10 years ago or so, when you went from a phone with buttons like a BlackBerry to an iPhone, how strange it was. Oh my God, Tui just farted. You're not coming on another car review. Jesus, it's toxic in here. Let me just vent the car. Oh man. This is why I normally bring the gorillas. Tui, you're a menace. So as I was saying, remember 10 years ago when we switched from phones with buttons and having that tactile feel of buttons to an iPhone and not having that anymore? Well, that's sort of the experience that I'm having here in this car, where I'm having to get used to anything I want to do, I have to do on a screen. And it's a little weird at first, but you can fit so much more on the screen, and you know, it's all less things to go wrong without buttons. And of course, obviously it'll be cost savings to take all those buttons out, but it is a bit of a learning curve. Let me put this back in autopilot. Auto steer unavailable for the rest of the drive. Hold steering wheel ignored multiple times. Oh, I've screwed it up. I've broken it already. It disabled the auto steer on me.
You gotta touch the wheel.
I realize that now. And think about the fact that the internal combustion engine, which has been in development for more than 120 years, is really just reaching 30 to 35% efficiency now. Whereas the electric motors in this car are well over 90% efficiency of energy usage. We're all going to be driving electric before we know it. Sure, there'll always be combustion cars out there, but they'll be specialist models. And you'll get in a combustion car 10 years from now and go, wow, this is how we used to drive? This is so antiquated. Okay, this is where we do a drag race. All set? 3, 2, 1, go. Sit down, Tui. Oh, God damn it. The day my Porsche wins a drag race and I'm not in it. But yes, it's got a great turn of speed, this thing. I'm interested.
Alright, that was pretty good. I'm surprised the 3 did so well.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, the way they accelerate is completely unique as well. Electric cars accelerate at the same rate throughout the speed, so you're not changing down gears and losing the power. It's the same power all the way through. It's difficult to understand until you've experienced it. Oh, I've reset the car now. Let's see if I can get back to autopilot mode. Ooh, we're back. Keep your hands on the wheel. Okay. This does make doing car reviews a lot easier when the car's driving itself, that's for sure. The other thing to note about this particular car is it's not $35,000. This comes in at just under $60,000. This is fully optioned for what you can get today. Every time that blue light flashes, it wants me to touch the steering wheel, otherwise it's going to lock me out of the autopilot again. The autopilot's pretty cool. We'll get past this truck and I'll get it to automatically switch lanes for us. So hands off the wheel, indicating, just like that. We're going to do the same thing, go back, go. We're indicating, come on. Go back the other way. That's it. Pretty cool. Okay, we need to slow down. Come on, go across. So a little known fact about the Model 3 is the most traded car for the Model 3 is the BMW 3 Series, the ultimate driving machine. People were chucking the ultimate driving machine to get the Model 3. That should tell you something. Wipers on. Okay, it's raining. I'll turn the wipers on. Here we go. It's showing me the wiper thing. Off. Do it. Ah, there we go. Turns out the wipers are fully electric. No gasoline powered wipers in this car. So what about the Chevy Bolt and the other electric cars? Why aren't they selling well? Well, I think the reason why the Chevy Bolt isn't selling, because it's arguably a better car, certainly better value than this car, is because of their Chevy badge. No one wants their fancy electric car with a Chevy badge on the front. You can sell an electric car if it's a premium brand, but it's a lot harder to sell with an economy brand. I'm just looking forward to the hot rodding of electric cars, upgrading the motors, putting bigger batteries in, hacking the software, that type of thing. I know some people are already doing that with the Model S, where they're pulling a fuse and then they can get the traction control off. All that stuff is up and coming for us in electric cars. It's just going to be a lot easier than with the current internal combustion cars. Okay, so back at my place to have a closer look around the interior with Kyle, who you may have seen in some of my other videos.
Hello. A
while back. You had an M3,
yep.
A white one, as well as many other crazy videos he does.
Lots of fun stuff.
Quite the lunatic. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Model 3 here today, and in particular the control systems and how everything is back to the screen, as few buttons as possible. And because I'm not that familiar with it, I may need some help here and there. But everything comes back to this. Shush you. It comes back to this button here, really, doesn't it? And everything's down here. So if I want to change move the steering wheel, where do I go?
You would click the
steering wheel. Okay.
Yep.
And then it's the scroll wheels, which is really cool. Up and down like that. And that's the same with the mirrors, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you physically move the button left and right, to tilt the mirror in and out.
Oh, okay. Like so. So there's so few buttons. I noticed there's a button to exit the car, but also a handle. Why is that, Dean?
In case you lose total power.
Oh, okay, you can still get out?
Yeah, you're not only really supposed to use this in emergency situations.
Right. I've already used it.
Okay.
It was an emergency, though. It was an emergency. It was an emergency. Yeah. And I also already tried the wipers. But everything comes back to mostly the screen, doesn't it? Which tells you where the charging stations are and tells you how many people are sitting there at those charging stations, how to navigate there. It's all very cool. Do you find it's a little distracting having to actually look at the screen instead of, with buttons, it's a little more tactile. You can keep your eye on the road and adjust a button. But with this, you've actually got to look at it each time. Even though you've still got the road in your peripheral vision, you've got to look at it. How long did it take for you to get used to that?
Well, I've been driving Teslas for a couple of years now, and so I'm really used to the screen. If anything, I get into your 911 or my mom has a Porsche Macan and buttons everywhere. I think that's almost more confusing than this. You know, you get an idea for where the screen is. It's right in your vision, so you can see where everything is, and with Autopilot, it gives you a half a second to sort of glance away, even though you still need to pay attention on the system.
Right.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yep. And so, where do I go for, say, this is my heat setting, this is your heat setting, where do I go for the rear heat setting?
So you'll click the little climate button.
Oh, okay.
And then there's
all the seats, yeah. So
now, the middle one.
Now you can even heat the middle rear. That is cool. And so I tried the Autopilot, and of course I got myself locked out because I didn't hold the steering wheel enough. But how often do you use that Autopilot? Every time you drive?
Pretty much exclusively on the highway, and even on some well-marked back roads. You know, the system's really designed as an assistance, not a driver replacement. But I have a Model S personally. This is my dad's 3. I drove my S from North Carolina up here to Connecticut just a few days ago. I think I maybe drove for 10 minutes out of the whole trip.
So it's looking for the paint marks though, isn't it? Yeah. So not every road is going to be compatible with it.
Correct. Eventually what the car will do is, let's say there's a section of road without line markings, Tesla will know every car that's driven past there and its path.
Wow.
And it can actually use that data. It's called fleet learning, all of this data to drive the car.
But yeah, the thing that really stands out is there's just no buttons. There's not even any fuses in this car, is there?
There is no fuses.
No. So the phone goes in here. And the phone is also your key, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
It's just a completely different way, just a clean sheet, basically, on how to design a car. So let's have a look at the battery stuff. Where is that?
So just click the battery.
Oh, that's got the battery. And that's, we're 68% at the moment. You're normally charged to what, 90%?
90% every day. If I'm just keeping it around town, I'll actually set it even less.
Yeah.
And then for a road trip, you can bump it out to full 100%. Just, you don't charge it every day full unless you need to, just to preserve life.
And because this is a Model 3, you don't get the free supercharging?
Correct, you do have to pay on this car.
Okay. And as a Model S driver, would you say it's worth it, having the Model S? Is it worth all that extra money, or is this a very similar experience?
From getting point A to point B, this accomplishes the same exact thing as Model S. If you're coming out of a 5 or 7 series or Audi A6, A8, I think you're going to feel more comfortable in the S. It is a nicer car. There's no question about it. But if you're coming from a 3 series, or even if you want something more performance oriented on back roads, this is a much better setup.
I see.
Yeah, I think the performance dual motor 3, when it comes out, that's the car to have.
Right. Yep. And I noticed this car doesn't have the numbers on the back. Like, this is the equivalent to a 75 kilowatt hour, right?
Yep, just about.
They've just taken the numbers off for simplicity?
Yep, so you have short range and long range as your option.
Right. And I believe you showed me in here, there's some Easter eggs as well, is that? Am I going in the right place? Close. Yes, here it is. So what do these do?
So Tesla does a lot of stuff for fun, obviously, where it's a really cool company. So you can put yourself on Mars in a little rover.
Nice.
And that's your navigation system.
So this will just drive around Mars as you're driving around.
Yes, it will.
Useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's another cool thing, which is the drawing pad, where if you're creative, let's say you're sitting at a supercharger, you can really draw anything you'd like on here, some angry messages, of course, and you can publish it, and Tesla will share the artwork that they like the most.
I see. What other cool things am I missing out on here?
It's really all about function aside from that. Everything's very minimalistic in the car. It's, again, a great car, point A to point B. It's very quick, great to drive. But,
it really is. It really is more fun than you think an electric car is going to be.
It drives very much like a rear-wheel drive Mini Cooper with quite a bit of power. It's so tossable. I wish you could fully disable the traction and stability control in the car.
So you can put it in a slip mode, can't you? Where was that?
So under the driving setting.
Driving setting. So here, that's the creep mode that makes it like a automatic torque converter automatic, doesn't it?
Yep, it'll push you forwards.
And then the slip start.
It'll go when you're in drive.
Oh, okay. You have to turn it on once you're in drive, and it just allows a little bit of
Yeah, so in my Model S, I have the performance version. We take it drag racing.
Yeah.
We use it to spin the tires in the burnout box.
Oh, yeah?
Just to clean the tires, try to get some traction, because that car is so incredibly quick.
So we'll continue to spin the wheels. How do you hold it in place, though?
You don't.
You don't? Oh,
no,
so it's
you just floor it, and
okay.
it'll spin, you back up and do another run. But
and so what about out in the snow? Can you slide the car around in the snow? Not really.
A bit. I took it out yesterday because we got pretty big snow, and you could do donut. If you're going into a corner, you can throw it in really fast, and naturally the chassis is very oversteer heavy, which is great. But the system's still grabbing brakes, trying to keep you straight and killing all the fun.
I see. Well, very cool. Thank you so much for bringing the car by today.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the Model 3. And, overall, I am so impressed by what Tesla has achieved here in such a very short period of time. It's incredible. Don't get me wrong, there's room for improvement. You notice the odd panel gap here and things that don't line up correctly. But the overall package is comfortable and easy to use. And while it's a little different than any other car you may have driven before, you quickly get used to it. It certainly surprised me every time I got into the Model 3 how uncluttered it was. And say, look in the back seat, there's really not a lot of luxury there. There's like 2 USB ports, but it's still a lovely car, still a comfortable car, and I think anyone that owns this car is going to be happy. And as a daily, I think it will work well. It comfortably seats 4. It's got a decent trunk. It's even got a frunk up the front, so it's perhaps got even more cargo space than most cars. And maybe one of the strongest validations of the Model 3 is my dog Tui. Every time I opened the door, she'd jump back inside this car. She seemed to love it. Maybe she's just trying to escape me and live with Kyle. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to thank everyone for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye then.